The moon is high, a chill rides the October wind. Somewhere a cat yowls, a sound too human to be ignored. Its eyes glint in the dark like twin candles. You pause, it crosses your path. In the silence that follows, wings flutter overhead, brief, leathery whispers in the night air. A shadow brushes your cheek. You look up and see nothing. Only the echo of motion, the pulse of wings vanishing into the trees. They've been here longer than our fears, the watchers, the wanderers, the companions of witches and symbols of the night. Halloween's truest familiars, the black cat and the bat, have never left us. I am Gregory Hallows, and this is Preserve Halloween Podcast. On this episode, we're not talking about costumes or candy, but about the creatures that have haunted our imaginations for centuries. The black cat, elegant, silent, and misunderstood. The bat, winged ghost of twilight, hunter of insects, and emblem of vampires. Together they form the living heartbeat of Halloween imagery, and their stories are older than the holiday itself. They walk the line between superstition and science, worship and fear. And in their eyes and wings, we see reflected our fascination with the dark. So, the domestic cat first appears in art more than 4,000 years ago in ancient Egypt. They were sleek, they were graceful, they were mysterious. The cat was sacred to the goddess Bastet, protector of hearth and home. Egyptians saw cats as guardians. They killed vermin, they protected the grain, and they symbolized balance. When a cat dies, families shave their eyebrows in mourning. To harm a cat was to offend the gods. From the temples of Bubastis to the fields of the Nile, cats walked alongside humanity, not as servants but as equals. But centuries later, as paganism faded and Christianity rose, the cat's independence became a threat. So, by the Middle Ages, cats were no longer divine, they were demonic. The church, seeking to root out old beliefs, began associating cats, especially black ones, with witchcraft and the devil. Black fur blended with the night, unseen, they became symbols of the unknown. Pope Gregory IX, Vox in Rama, in 1233, described rituals where heretics allegedly kissed a black cat's hindquarters as part of satanic worship. There's not absolutely any evidence that this happened, but much like many things, the rumor spread like wildfire. Cats began to be hunted, they were burned, they were driven from towns, and because of this, there was an explosion of plague-carrying cats, and this persecution of cats may have worsened Black Death itself. So it made Black Death even worse than it was. The cat, because it increased the plague. The cat, once a guardian against darkness, had become a scapegoat, because there's always got to be a scapegoat, right? By the 16th century, witches and cats were inseparable in the public imagination. In folklore, every witch is said to have a familiar, and that is their spirit animal that assisted them in magic. It could be a cat, a toad, a raven, sometimes a bat, just, some form of animal. Familiars could spy, they could curse, or they could deliver messages between worlds. They were a witch's companion, its confidant and protector. In court records from the English witch trials, cats bore names like Vinegar Tom, Pie Wacket, and Grizzle Greedygut, creatures of comfort transformed into conspirators. When a black cat crosses your path, it wasn't bad luck. It was said to be a witch walking unseen. How many people grew up with a black cat cross your path? That's bad luck. I mean, it's a crazy superstition. I, in fact, love black cats. I don't own them. They kind of just hang around in my yard. They come and I feed them. I've had many black cats in my life. I think right now, I have one. Well, he's not completely black. I have 4 or 5 black cats. Not totally black, but I love black cats. While cats prowled the ground, bats ruled the air. In medieval Europe, bats symbolized night and transformation. Unlike birds, bats appeared unnatural. They were mammals that flew. They were creatures that had fur and fangs. They lived in caves. They lived in ruins. These places are associated with the underworld. So during the Renaissance, their image darkened even further. Bats adorned depictions of demons and devils. And as the night became a metaphor for sin, the bat became its herald. But in the East, bats carried a very different meaning. In China, the bat is a symbol of happiness. It is a homophone for good fortune. Red bats decorate wedding fabrics and homes, representing long life and joy. So this same animal on one side of the country is blessed, and another side of the country they're cursed. By the 18th century, naturalists began studying bats in earnest, uncovering their role in ecosystems. Their nocturnal habits and strange anatomy still unsettled people. They became linked to diseases and to darkness and, of course, to Dracula. When Bram Stoker's Dracula appeared in 1897, the bat was forever fused with the vampire myth. But bats are not monsters. They are pollinators, they are pest controllers, and they are a keystone species. Eventually, science would redeem what fear had condemned, much like a lot of things. Still, this image of the bat against the moon, wings spread, fangs bared, remains Halloween perfection. Chef's kiss. I love any kind of bat symbolism, blow molds, or, die cuts with bats are awesome. In witch trials and folklore alike, familiars represented what society feared. They were power outside male control. They were proof or projection, depending on how you look at it, of forbidden relationships, women and animals working in secret harmony. Even today, the idea of the familiar spirit lingers. Writers and artists speak of their muses. Cats curl around keyboards as we write, or sit literally on top of them. Dogs sense when their owners are sad. The familiar is no longer an accusation, it is a metaphor for connection. The witch's familiar became the artist's companion and that intuitive whisper of creation. So, by the late 19th century, Halloween's imagery began to standardize largely through postcards and print advertising. Publishers like John Winch and Raphael Tuck printed orange and black lithographs featuring witches, cats, bats, and moons. The black cat's arched back and glowing eyes became shorthand for Halloween. We've all seen that image where the cat's hunched over and just classic. In these imageries, people turned fear into charm. The black cat was no longer evil. He was just mischievous and playful, maybe a little mysterious, but no longer evil. I mean, some people still think that, but black cats became the spirit of Halloween itself. They were a creature caught between fear and fun. When Halloween transitioned to American soil, bats came along for the ride, and we mean this literally. They always thrive near harvest barns, where insects swarm, and thus they became tied to autumn nights. If you get a chance, while I'm thinking of it, because it's just popped in my head, if you get a chance to go to Austin, Texas, they have a really cool bat. I can't remember what it's called, but there's this bridge where bats come, and there's thousands of them, and you can ride a boat and watch them. It's really cool. Early Halloween parties often featured paper bats as decorations. They were there alongside black cats, pumpkins, witches, everything else, skeletons, they became a symbol of Halloween. By the 1920s, both were cemented as the creatures of Halloween. So you got black cats, you got bats. That was your animals for Halloween. So the cat would watch from the ground, the bat would circle from above, guardians of the threshold, north and south, heaven and earth. They covered all aspects. In the 20th century, Halloween's animals icons would come alive. Of course, there's Salem from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. There's Binks, the cursed feline guardian in Hocus Pocus. Bats are on all kinds of movie screens, from Nosferatu to Batman, of course, Dracula. That's a very, iconic image if you've seen Batman, where he goes in the cave and then all the bats come flying out. They remain symbols of transformation. They are the witch's secret helper, the vampire's dark twin, the artist's muse. Each time they appear, they whisper the same message: embrace the night. So, I mentioned this earlier. Superstition tells us a black cat crossing your path brings you bad luck, right? But did you know that sailors believe the opposite? That cats brought safe passage. In Japan, the beckoning cat Maniki Niko waves fortune into shops. You've all seen the waving cat, right? If you go anywhere, like sushi places or any, Japanese or restaurant, I see them. My daughter loves the little waving cat. Belief changes, but reverence endures. The cat and the bat survive every era of fear because they are adaptable, just like Halloween is. They are creatures of dusk. They live in the in-between. They are neither light nor dark, good nor evil. They remind us that magic lies in the spaces between. So, I'm going to give you a couple of suggestions. I can add these. I'll probably add this list to the description when I do the podcast printout. There's some books that were suggested to me. Cats and Demons, The Mythic Origins of Fear by Barbara Kipfer. Bats, Biology and Behavior by M. Fenton. The Witch's Familiar, Spiritual Partnerships for Successful Magic by Raven Grimassi. Halloween, From Pagan Ritual to Party Night by Nicholas Rogers. And The Cat in Magic, Myth, and Mystery by Fernand Méry. Those are 5 books suggested to me, so I will suggest them to you. So, in closing, next time you see a black cat on your porch this Halloween, do not flinch. When a bat swoops past your head, do not scream. They have been here since the beginning. They are living familiars of Halloween. They carry stories older than the holiday, older than our fears. They are watchers of the night. They are keepers of secrets, and the living ghosts we're lucky enough to still have. So we should be happy for them. So that was a real quick, like these last few things have been, real quick history of black cats and bats and how they relate to Halloween. On the next podcast, I think I'm going to do something different. I was looking this up earlier today. I think I'm going to go through the most popular Halloween costumes. I found this really cool website that I'll talk to you more about next time. But I found this really cool website, and I'm going to go through this list of the most popular Halloween costumes this year. And I may even go back, years past. I think I found one from like 5 or so years ago. Kind of see how things have changed. So until next time, stay strange, stay curious, stay spooky, and always preserve Halloween.